God bless you. I'm Aaron Cunningham. I'll be doing the teaching tonight. And before we get started, Elijah did a teaching on Judges, and guess what we'll be studying tonight? It's not a coincidence. Isn't that neat? That's not just an encouragement to you. It's an encouragement to me. The objective when you're teaching, you can share about anything you want. But if you ever spend some time with somebody, if you really want to bless them on their birthday, you talk about what they want to talk about, right? And hopefully that's the objective of a teaching. And you're going to go, hey, let's just talk about what you want. And so that's confirmation for you and for me. Isn't that nice? What a great way to start the teaching. Yeah. We got a signature on both of it. Before we start, we'll go ahead and hear from Yahweh through Christ Jesus, according to 1 Corinthians 14. So if anybody feels inspired to speak in tongues and interpret or prophesy, please do.
Shakodwa masalupayo. Masanukolabreri. Masani boloishola. Ramasanukolabayo, right? Bashindu balishi, yo. Banensukodabi. Ramatubadi. Ramashakuwasi, lo. Mashaniworai. Masanikolayo. Mashakoya. My children, do not be afraid to stand out, because I made you to stand out. I made you to stand out of the crowd with me, like stand with me, and do not be afraid to be kicked out or no one to like you, because I do, my children, if you walk by my way. Amen.
My children, some people look bad on the outside but good on the inside. Sometimes it's like an apple. Some apples look lumpy and weird on the outside, but they're good on the inside. Some apples look good on the outside, but they're horrible on the inside. So my children, don't judge a book by its cover. My children, just because a person looks bad from the outside doesn't mean it's good from the inside.
Don't My child, if you're climbing a giant rock or you're doing a rock wall that's really big, my child, don't give up. Don't just see a handle and just give up because you think it's too hard. My child, I will show you a way to get through it. Don't just give up. My child, if you ask me, I will come and I will show you where to step so you can go out there. Don't just give up. My child, I will be with you.
Don't let it burn up into ashes. You know exactly what that means. Everyone has their own interpretation of what this means. And every one of you has a box inside you, and you know exactly what's in that box. You just have to find someone to open the key so you can let those things out. So don't let it burn to ashes.
Yeah, I got something from Esther's. It was the rock wall. My children, do not just fly through it, because you will miss so much things and miss so much rewards that I could give you. And you could do some bad things that when you could have done good things easily. Just do one step at a time. One step at a time with me, towards me. Do not just fly through it. Focus on every step of the way. And because you may slip if you do not. Amen.
My sons and daughters, come to me and know that I am able to shade you by day and warm you by night, that I am able to just pour out greatly upon you, and know and understand that the authority that you have is not an authority to be shut up or put in a basket and sealed up, but to be poured out and to be utilized. So call upon me that I may be able to be with you. I will show you, I will enlighten you as far to where to go and where to walk. And know that as you are doing these things, that I will comfort you and I will give you instruction as you seek me.
I also got something with Esther's prophecy. As somebody's rock climbing, I can see a belayer, and as they're climbing the rock wall inside of a building, the belayer will tell them which handholds to reach for, where to stick their feet, and there's a relationship between somebody climbing on the belayer. The belayer says you need to reach here, grab here, and there's a relationship between the climber and the person that's actually protecting with the rope and guiding them. And so is Yahweh and Christ guiding each one of us. And that relationship that we can have with him can be just as fun as climbing rock walls without fear of dying and death, especially when you know the end of the story with salvation. So choose to enjoy your life, turning it into an adventure. You don't have to go through the motions, although it is better for you to be obedient and be sour than to be disobedient and act like you're sweet. But do your thing and turn it into an adventure. It will be rock walls, and we'll do these things together, and the adventures will get better and better. Amen. Well, thank you, Father. You can see piggybacking all this communicating. So we have a living Elohim. Tonight's teaching is going to be, who is your Philistine? And as we read the word, a lot of times we can read about other people, and it can be so foreign. How can you be serving Midianites? And how can you turn away from Moses after 40 years? And how could you turn away from Moses after Egypt? How could you do that? Or here's Saul. How did Saul turn away from Yahweh? How did you do that? So we read it, and it doesn't necessarily apply sometimes. But all of us have Philistines. All of us have Midianites. All of us have Amalekites in our life. What sins or what relationships are in your life that you're not going to get rid of? Or what things will you not confront because of fear? My own one of my Philistines was something that recently happened. It's because my adversary is so tenacious that every fight is so costly, not from a physical standpoint, but from an emotional. And you want it just to go away. That's my Philistine. All of us have it. Everybody's got something. And instead of being a complainer, so what's your Philistine? We look at idols being cut down. Here's Gideon. And how did Gideon feel? Yahweh abandoned us, is what he said. His father's got an Asherah pole right there. Who abandoned who here? But a neat thing right after that is how quickly did Gideon's father get on board?
Immediately.
He said, whoever stands up for Baal, let them die. It was a war. And we'll see that the same things over and over again with the judges and the leaders in the word. It is not everybody votes and they get along. There's a leader that they say, we're with you, and if you're not with him, we're going to kill you. What? Yeah. You want to know about the times of peace in the word? There are reigns of fear. A lot of it is. We look at Moses and all these nice things that happen, but there are consequences because there's weak people and there's evil people inside the midst. They're always there. It's always there. Just as we always have the old man inside of us, we're supposed to kill him each day. And if you are not forcing your old man to be your slave, guess who's the slave that day? You're the slave, most likely. You can't go into a fight, a serious fight, without thinking ahead of it. I can't go against Al-Qaeda or ISIS and think I'm just going to win without preparation. These guys are very serious. But with Yahweh on my side, and if I'm in line with nothing, Romans 8:31 says, if he at least his own son did not spare, how shall I not also with him all things in our but that's not what I want to say. If God is for us, who shall be against us? It's in right around Romans 8. But that only applies when we are for Yahweh. The cycle's in and out. We see people in slavery. Do you know why? It's because there was not a leader ruling with a scepter of iron. Now whose choice? Why did we have to have rulers like that? These dictators. Why is that? One day we'll get to possibly meet Adam and Eve. And everybody will get to possibly shake their head at him going, what did you do, man? Look, it's so jacked up. Why are women, we talk about that. Like the last teaching I got to teach about the word, the illustration was how bad women have had it. And women have always had it bad. But we should never allow that to be said without saying why. Why have women always had it that bad? Well, because they're victims. No. That's what they'll do. That's what your old man will do. Well, we're women. We're victims. And you're the bad guys. No. Women have had it bad because of Adam and Eve. And actually, it was because of Adam. Because Yahweh says he knew what he was doing. That's why they had it bad. But there's a war. And so who are your Philistines? Who are your Amalekites? Who are your Midians? What idols do you have in your life? Is it alcohol? Is it pornography? Is it lust? Is it comfort? Whatever it is, all of us have it. And when we read through the Word, we look at Gideon's, we look at these things, it can sound so foreign, but this food will help us if we ingest it. Put yourself in Gideon's life. What idol do you not want to get rid of? What is your comfort? What is the thing that I'm not going to get rid of this thing? Everybody's got it. Now, if you take your idol or your weakness, or a lot of us, you know what the biggest one is? It's relationships. Because through a relationship, I get something. I have somebody in my life. There's a lot of wicked people out there that can give you a lot of good stuff. You want an example of it? Just rent some movies from the 1980s you haven't seen in 20 years. Like, yikes!
Yeah.
But I want to watch it because it's really funny, but there's so much garbage in it. So why do we want relationships with people we shouldn't want? Whatever it is, but we should apply this to be like the Gideons and say, what idols do I have in my life? What altars do I have? Is it myself? Is it idolatry? And if you think you don't have one, your old man has got you. What we should do is, even if we can't tear down our own idols, if we can't confront the Philistines, the Amalekites in our life, we should at least address it each day. So we're not a coward to say, Yahweh, I didn't get them this day, but I will get them. And instead of like me, with my tenacious, every fight is so nasty and costly, I just want it to go away. You know, that's I just want peace, just want peace, just want peace, that's what it is. And you know what, who else just wanted peace? Israel, Judah, Ahab with Jezebel. Come on, Jezebel, don't even tell me what you're doing. Just give me the... We got to say no. We're going to have a Philistine you're going to have to fight for the rest of your life. Whatever your idols are. And instead of becoming a victim, going, why me? Why did I do it? We should be like, Yahweh's got wanted signs. Wanted. Dead or dead. Who wants to kill the Philistines? And we should be like David to say, who do you want dead? I'm an assassin. And then we should say, I'll kill the Philistines. And David would have had a whole other mentality. If there were no Philistines, I love that picture behind Israel, it's David and Goliath. The artist explained to me when he painted it, look how small Goliath looks in the photo. So I got to meet this artist, which was neat. And so here I usually don't like watercolors, but this one was really neat. And then he told me the story behind it. He goes, this is David and Goliath. He goes, almost every other perspective with David and Goliath, who's big and who's small?
Small.
David's small, Goliath is huge. And he goes, I wanted to paint a picture of David through Yahweh's eyes. Then this is why he put these lines as reference points. And he goes, look how small Goliath is. Here this thing is. And if it wasn't, can you imagine David? And we're going to get to meet David someday. And you know what David's going to say? Man, I loved it when it was Philistine seasons. You know, there's duck season, bear season. Man, I used to go hunting. You know, I can't kill anybody now. But back in the day, Yahweh had some enemies, and it was always Philistine season, no limit. Get as many foreskins as you want. And then my son goes, yeah, I can see his nipples. You know, that's how you can see his pepperonis. Anyways, but the idea is, with Elijah's teaching, with the book of Judges, what's the purpose? You can read over it. It's like reading, in my opinion, it's like reading a medicine without taking it. But if you take yourself and you put yourself into this book, and you humble yourself, and you say, Yahweh, show me what my weaknesses are. I remember one time when I read David, when David had to flee for his life because his father-in-law was going to murder him, it broke my heart because his wife didn't go with him. Why didn't she go? And then I looked, and she took the household God and put it in the bed to act like David. And then afterward I read it, I go, David, it's right there. Now you have a household gods in every hotel room in the United States. The Gideons made sure of that. Everybody knows David had a household god. And then I used to think that. Then Yahweh was like, if the shoe fits, where's your God, Aaron? Is it lust of the eyes? Is it lust of the flesh? Is it relationships? I don't have any. Oh, really? Really? And I believe in paradise. In paradise, all the people that are going to be there are going to get to read about our life. Do we enjoy reading about David's life? Yeah. David's going to get to read about our life. What did you do? Our strengths, our weaknesses, and it's up to us to go, What are my readers going to get to read? What will I do here? Because nobody else knows about my temptation here except for the author of my biography. And it won't be an autobiography. It's going to be a biography. And they're going to say, what are the readers? Am I going to cave again? I just want peace with my family. I just want peace. I always want everybody to get along. And then Yahweh's going to say, yeah, that's what Adam told me when he divorced me in the Garden of Eden. He just wanted peace. But he forgot what cost that peace came. See, there is no compromise. What fellowship does light have with darkness? And the word, what it does, is if we submit ourselves, it'll make things clear. Really clear. And then we can go, because our emotions will pollute us, that it's not a clear decision. This is complex. It's not that easy. Who's telling you that? It's that same dirtbag you're supposed to kill. Why is he even speaking? Romans 6 says, don't you know whoever you obey, you're a slave? You can be a slave to Jesus Christ and listen to him, or you can make your flesh your slave. But if you have all those emotions pop up, and guess what? Every one of us has it. And he gets out. He gets loose. It's like having a little dog that's going to break out. He's going to break out. But the idea is once he pops up, I got to kill you. And that's that dread, that fear. You're going to lose. You're going to lose. But all these restless things. I'm so thankful for my father. My father's my rock. Throughout my life, there's been so many times where I was going through something difficult, and my dad loves me so much, he would just say, hey, it's real simple, Aaron. You either obey or you disobey. I'd roll my eyes out. It's not that easy. No, it's not. He goes, yeah, it is. And I'm like, and then throughout my life, my dad would sit there and he would go, because he loved me so much, he'd cut right to it. You either sin or you obey. Man. And then a lot of times where my father's helped me, he goes, you either obey or you're a coward. Oh, that word, coward. Don't call me a coward. Well, when we cave and we cower to our old man and to the lust of the flesh or people around us, then we become a coward. And so then when my terrorist recently attacked, it was the same thing. And as I went through a sleepless night, I couldn't sleep, this harassment, and it could have been some sort of spiritual wickedness. Now, I have not been participating in wickedness. I've been walking in light, but every once in a while, there's a swarm going, what in the world is this? And every once in a while, all of us will see maybe the same perpetrator going after one of us, and you go, hey, what's wrong with him? You know. And anyways, where I was going with that is I couldn't sleep that night. And I'm being harassed, going, what's going on? What's going on? What was communicated to me is I got down on my knees because I just want to sleep. Is he goes, Aaron, you can fear this terrorist or you can fear me. Who do you fear more? That made it really clear. Do I fear the Democratic Party or a family member that says if I bring up their sin again, they'll never talk to me again? Or do I fear Yahweh? Can you imagine standing in front of Yahweh's throne? We're going to. And we have salvation. It's by grace. 1 John 1:9, when we sin, we confess it. If we are confessing our sins, he's faithful and just to cleanse us of all of unrighteousness. But still, there's going to be a judgment. What do we do with our life? And then when we blow it, what does he want? It's just like a dad with his 3 kids. When you kids blow it, you think he's your enemy, right? You know who's telling you your dad's your enemy? Who's telling you your dad's the enemy when he corrects you?
The old man.
Your old man. Who's the enemy? Right there. And you point it in there, and then you turn it, and then you walk into the mirror, and you go, he's not the enemy. And you look in the mirror, and you go, you're a dead man. I'm going to kill you today, Mr. Philistine. I'm going to kill you tomorrow. And if somebody corrects us because of our sin or because of our error, because of our weakness or rebellion, everybody's got a weakness. I had a guy come up to me in the gym. He's a drug addict, a recovering drug addict. And it's wonderful because Yahweh sends people to me in the gym and they just vomit their problem. And then after they get in telling me, as if I'm like a therapist, they're almost kind of embarrassed because I was addicted to drugs, I was a drug dealer, this and that, and then he's telling me this whole thing. I'm sitting there going, this is not in common with my ministry. I'm blessed. But then he turns and goes, yeah, I'm just ashamed of my weakness. And I looked at him and I go, hey, you. Hey, Tyler. Hey, Tim. Hey, Mark. Whatever his name was. I go, everybody's got a weakness. Okay? I said, in your story, you are just slave to your weakness. You got weak. Just don't do it again. I got a weakness too. He's got a weakness. The thing is, are you going to beat your weakness each day and take it personal? And you should have saw the look on this guy's face. Instead of being completely ashamed, I go, I got my weakness. Oh yeah, trust me. Jesus Christ sees every place my eyes go. He hears everything my ears listen to. And everything pops up. He gets to see it all. We're like, oh my goodness. Somebody said, you did that in front of God and everybody. Yeah, everything we do is right in front of him, right? And here we are, a little bitty Ruth walking around. She might go behind something that can't see me, and we laugh as a 3-year-old tries to hide from us. But what a great lesson for parents. What are we trying to hide from Yahweh, right? We turn to Joshua 16, page 250. And probably my Philistines growing up was always people. I love people. I love relationships. I love telling jokes, getting along, and you know what I allowed me to hold me back most of my life was I was like, what about these people? What about Cliff? What about Brianna? What about Cody? Who's going to take care of these people? And they would be coming along a little bit, and you'd get a little bit of word in there, but it was mostly lust of the flesh, 99% lust of the flesh. I'd get my 1% in there. And what did that do? It justified my relationship. And then later on, but it was always, that was my weakness. That was my idol. I remember I went to Kenneth Copeland. Here's this whole revival of Kenneth Copeland. And I went to this thing. Dad goes, hey, you want to go see a guy teach him? And my dad would always make these doors open. You want to go? Oh, man. If I say no. What, am I going to say no? If I say no, then tomorrow I want Yahweh's help. He's like, where were you yesterday? You're not going to go to church. But anyways, I went. After an hour of teaching, I don't remember when he taught, but I was ready to do? I'm ready to dedicate my life. And I love that with Christian festivals and stuff that we'd go to with John Shana and John Len, would be 3 days of the Word, we'd be getting detoxed. These festivals and going, now I'm ready. Now I'm ready. All of us do it. And my weakness, do you know what it would be? When I got done, I'm like, that's it. Straight and narrow. At least I'm going that direction from now on. I'm going true north. I'm not fooling myself going east anymore, saying I'm going north, and then be like, Aaron, what about Brianna? What about Cody? Oh, what about those guys? For years and years and years, I was a servitude to my lust of my flesh until I was like, no, I don't. If it's not about the Word, then when my life became about the Word, guess who disappeared? Those people. And so I was fooling myself. That was my weakness. Joshua chapter 16, verse 9. Let's see. So we're going to look. So what's really neat is Moses hit a rock and water came up. Okay? Israel was murmuring at one point. They need water. Yahweh told him to hit a rock, water comes out. And another occurrence, Yahweh tells Moses, talk to the rock, speak to the rock. And Moses spoke to the rock, water didn't come out, so he hit the rock. And then Yahweh says, because you have hit this rock twice. It was what's going on with that? When Moses spoke to the rock, that was the end of the 40 years. This was the Joshua generation that's getting ready to stone him. This wasn't the generation coming out of Egypt. These weren't these wicked people. This was supposed to be the Joshua generation. Who's going to kill Moses? He's 120 years old. What? They're murmuring. Oh, what did Yahweh come? 40 years of manna. Have you ever thought that one of these days you're just going to make it and you're not going to have to fight this old man anymore? Yeah, we're all that chump sometimes. There's Moses 120 years old, and all of a sudden these people, the next generation is going to kill me. Are you kidding me? And Moses hit the rock, and he messed up right then. But the neat thing my dad said, he said, if Yahweh tells you something's going to happen, then something's going to happen. And so why did Yahweh put that in the Word with what Moses did at the end of those 40 years, right around then? For us to learn from it. Did Moses want to go into the land? Yeah, he sure did. He was fresh. His eyesight had not dimmed, but for one thing, here's Moses. Did even Moses have to produce faith at the end of his ministry? Absolutely. So we can look at that same instance. That if Yahweh says this is going to happen, rock, water. No water comes out. Everybody starts going to say they're going to kill you. I got things to do. It's not my problem. I delivered the message. And so we can look at that to say, if Moses could have done it all over again, how would he have done it? He would have said the words and he would have just walked off. Not my problem. Okay? So he was fresh. He was strong. He had the physical needs, but then in one little area, it was just a little bit. And so even Yahweh had Moses. Moses, come on, man. This isn't a union job here. You got to show up for work. And I would think that with Moses, that he would have plateaued. He didn't have to produce anymore because he maxed out, right? Except without faith, it is impossible to be well-pleasing. I never thought about that. For those 40 years of Moses leading those people, what was being required? More of Moses each day.
More faith.
More faith. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily show what Moses had to do through those 40 years, does it? Because we would think that the pinnacle of his ministry was the war in Egypt. So it's just food for thought. But here's Joshua. Here's Moses. These people are going to kill Moses. Now here's Joshua. He's taken over. Would somebody please read verse 9 and 10 of chapter 16?
I will. Together with the cities and were separated for the sons of Ephraim in the midst of the inheritance of the sons of Manasseh, all the cities with their villages, but they did not
Dispossess.
the Canaanites who were dwelling in Gezer. So the Canaanites have dwelt in the midst of Ephraim, and to this day, and have become tributary servants.
So tributaries to his servants. They did not dispossess the man. Here's Yehoshua. He says, here's your land. They're casting lots. This land goes to you. This land goes to you. This land goes to you. And then with Ephraim, they did not get rid of the Canaanites. Now we're going to read down. He's going to cast more lots in chapter 17, verse 5. I'll kind of speed through a little bit. It goes to Manasseh. Manasseh is Ephraim's brother. It was Joseph's two sons, right? So here's Manasseh's going to, okay, here's your land. And would somebody please read verse 12? You read 12 through 13, please.
Alright. Sons of Manasseh, however, could not dispossess these cities, but the Canaanites were determined to remain in this land. But when the sons of Israel had waxed strong, they put Canaanites under tribute, though they dispossessed them not.
Okay, because the Canaanites were determined to live in the land, Manasseh couldn't get rid of them. Let me ask you a question. You remember Pharaoh of Egypt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was he determined not to let go Israel with Moses? Because they were determined? Who's writing this for us? Yahweh. Yahweh's writing. So, okay, well, they're not going to get rid of it. They're not going to obey. And in this case, I can think of, here's my case. I just want peace. I just want peace. I got a comfortable life. All of us probably have a comfortable life. Everybody does. I kind of like where I am. Then Yahweh goes, I want you to go this way. Well, that way, I have to produce more faith. I have to get rid of my idols. What's your idols? Everybody's got an idol. Everybody's got an idol, whatever it is. And why don't I want to be more obedient? Well, because I had to get rid of my idols. And with the idol, a lot of times with me, it's people. I really enjoy people. And I hang on to people. And I know if I go this way, one of my things is putting on a Donald Trump bumper sticker. Isn't that weird? I was afraid to put on a Trump bumper sticker. Why? Now that was a rhetorical question. It wasn't because I'm ashamed of Donald Trump, because I subconsciously knew what would happen by the Democratic Party and the Antichrists. They will harass me. You know it. If you wear a Trump T-shirt to your public school, you'll be hissed. So in these cases, why not? This could be all of us going, I don't want to do that. And it could be Jesus Christ, but Donald Trump right now is a very polarizing person. And a good thing is, if you do wear something Trump, what it is, it's like having it's like having a black light to find out where the scorpions are in your life. You know what happens with scorpions? Do you know they actually glow in a black light? Yeah, so if you want to find scorpions in the desert, you know what you do? You get a black light, you walk out, and they pop up like a glowworm. So you wear something like that, you'll find that's not my friend. That's not my friend. They acted like my friend, but back here, why would I not want to wear a trunk? This is me personally. The way I'm going to be harassed. So here are these people. So we look at this, go, what? Why would you not dispossess them? I don't know exactly what their reason is. I know what mine would be. Verse 16. Elijah, would you read that?
The sons of Joseph said, "The hill country is not enough for us, and there are chariots of iron among all the Canaanites that dwell in the land of the valley, belonging both to them in Bethshean and her towns, and to them in the valley of Jezreel."
The sons of Joseph says there's not enough room for us. And Yehoshua says, you got this land right here. They said, not that land. We don't want that land. It's not big enough. And they got chariots of iron. Why didn't they want that land? Why didn't they want that life? Because in order to take on those giants, they couldn't have the idols in their life. Because you can't go on. So they had a comfortable life. Maybe they were pretty good with their own warfare. But I can't step it up 2 more notches. Our President Donald Trump did that. And what did he do with his cabinet? He surrounded himself with believers. Because Yahweh was calling him out. What kind of leader is this guy? Does he have an easy life? Is he harassed? Would you switch places with him? Golly, what about his family? And so here, Yahweh called him up. And what was going to happen? What kind of harassment? That is these people right here. And in this case, why would you take on the chariots of iron? I think a lot of it is because I got to get rid of my idols. I got to clean my life up. I'm not ready for that. I'm in a comfortable life right now. I want something in a comfort area. I'm pretty happy with where I am. Yahweh's not happy with our lives. He's not content. Even with Moses, speak to the rock. And in that case, looking back, not to pick on Moses, the greatest of the greatest of the greatest, right? But as we're going to look at what's Yahweh pointed out, there must have been a delay with the water coming out of the rock with Moses. Yahweh said even Moses, at the end, he still had to produce results. So will you. But what is on the other side of those results? The land of milk and honey. A life more satisfying than you could ever imagine. When you look at obedience, your old man and my old man, do you know what all we look at? What we have to give up. That's why I didn't want to go to church. I was so afraid growing up. Do you know I was afraid growing up and going to teachings? Because I was going to have to give something up. I knew it. I was afraid to get down on my knees and to speak openly and just go, lay it on me. Just talk to me. Because I knew he was going to say, give something up. That nobody taught me that. Nobody said that to me. But that was my fear. I was afraid of having these relationships. And about the only times my heart really would open is when I would go to these 3-day conferences. And I didn't realize how bad I was until I was around a conference and a festival for 3 days. Then I go, what is wrong with me? Why wouldn't I want to talk to you? Of course you're going to ask me to do some hard things, but look at the benefits. You don't go to work and work 40 hours a week away from your family without thinking about a paycheck, without thinking about a vacation, without thinking about going hunting and elk hunting. You don't raise kids if you don't get some fringe benefits, right? So we got to do the same thing. Not fringe for the fringe. But anyways, ideas, okay, so that was me. So those were my weaknesses. Those were my idols. Those were my Amalekites. Chapter 18. Remember, we're talking to the Joshua generation, the generation 40 years fed with manna, right? They've been to war. Chapter 18, verse 3. The first time I heard this scripture read, it was through Mark Hankins. He said, Melania, will you read verse 3, please?
Okay. So Joshua said unto the sons of Israel, how long will ye be too slothful to enter in and take possession of the land, which Yahweh, Elohim of your fathers, have given unto you?
Yahweh just called them right out. We are the Joshua generation. We are the generation raised 40 years under Moses. Joshua, you're the new guy. And Joshua had to give a hard speech. And you know what he called them? Slackers. You're lazy. You're lazy. Can you imagine their ears? Is that what they wanted to hear? Mark Hankins, when he taught it, he goes, look, how many promises, and Mark Hankins was teaching, going, look, what about your health? What about your prosperity? Yahweh, through Christ, wants all of us to be a prosperous life. And he was saying, if you're not claiming your health for yourself, claim it for him who paid for it. If you're not claiming your prosperity for yourself, claim it for who paid for it, right? Go collect it. If Tim sent me something FedEx and I didn't want it, I'd still go pick it up out of respect for him. And so Mark Hankin was going, how lazy are you guys? And he's giving a hard teaching to him. I'm not lazy. Everybody's lazy. Everybody's lazy. But claim his promises. But right here, here's a Joshua generation going, you guys are lazy. Lazy, lazy, lazy. You're comfortable. Give him this pep talk. And then we read through Joshua, and then here's Joshua with a scepter of iron hitting these guys. And what's happening? The weak people are probably shutting their mouth, and they're going into the closet instead of the Christians and the Republicans going in the closet. Right now, the Democrats and liberals, what they do is they scream so loud that the Republicans get quiet. We live in the state of Kansas. Donald Trump almost got 70% of the vote. But Republicans are afraid to put a Donald Trump sticker because the Democrats will attack. They're the minority.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so we can look at the same thing in our own life. And then in this case, here's Joshua smacking them, and here they go. They're calling out, just like a teaching. All of us are a work in progress. And he's not finished, and he's not ever going to be finished. But he doesn't want you to look at what you always have to get rid of. Look at the blessings. And think about the long run. What is paradise going to look like? Christ could come back tonight. He doesn't tell us when his son's coming back. Jesus Christ doesn't know when he's coming back. Only his dad. And knowing his dad by the way he writes, it's going to be a time nobody's ready. What? I can imagine your mother-in-law's here. What? My house is trashed. But here's this whole thing going to go when no one's ready. And this whole life, every act of obedience will be rewarded. He'll put his arm around you. He's going to say, Melania, I saw what you were going through. I saw your temptation. I know nobody else did, but I was there. I saw you beat it. Well, and then you might say, well, I didn't beat it. I had a problem for years. He goes, but I saw you beat it that day. You beat it that day, didn't you? Here's your reward. Wow, he saw it when oh, okay. Each day, cashing your chips. How much did I win? It's just like working. How much did I make today? What did I earn? Here's my tips. Here's my tips. What did I get? And you count your tips. Tips are a great way of going, man, how well did I work? Now, it doesn't always reflect how well you work. Sometimes you got cheapskates. But the idea is you count those things up. Joshua 24, verse 14. The end of Yahushua, the Joshua generation, which was a great generation in comparison. Do you think they would have compared themselves with their parents? Of course. Well, not my mom and dad. My parents, they are wicked. You are wicked. Look at us. Look how clean we are compared to them. And he's going, I'm not comparing you to them. I'm comparing you to me. The way you're supposed to be, because you're supposed to look like Adam and Eve in the garden. You know that, right? Right. And so here's a Joshua generation probably comparing themselves with somebody else. We all do it. Well, I'm not as bad as Barack Obama. That's not going to fly in our final evaluation. Chapter 24, verse 14. This is on my front porch. Yehoshua is getting ready to go to sleep. If you read right above chapter 24, Joshua's final admonitions, his death and his burial. He's getting ready to go to sleep. He did a great job. Something I would love to become a Yehoshua, but here's his job. How do you think he felt with this Joshua generation? Do you think he was irritated? You think he just wanted to quit? What's wrong with you guys? Yahweh, just give me my own plot. I just want to, and he's going to go. And I can imagine that. All of us could. I'm sick and tired of leading people that don't want to be led. Why do I got to hit them with a rod? Do they want to go back to Egypt?
Yeah.
What's wrong with them? And Yahweh, you can imagine Yehoshua going, Yahweh, just give me my own flock and my own family. We'll just live over here in a tent. And Yahweh goes, you'll get your own flock and your own tent right over there. But it's when my son comes back. But as of now, right now, I got some work to be done. And I'm hiring. Do you want to be a part? And if you don't want to, so Josh would be like, golly. And in my case, I reflect back to my dad making it so easy for me. You either obey or you disobey. Either you're a coward or you're a hero. Man, the word coward still bothers me. But here this is, and here's Joshua. I'm not going to be a coward now. I'm 110 years old. I'm not. Is that how I'm going to end my book? Yeah. Can you imagine, Josh? I'm 109. Is the last chapter of my book and Joshua became a coward? Is that what everybody's going to read? What are they going to read with you? Except you don't know when the end of your book is, do you? Because you don't know when Christ is coming back. How are you going to go out? And he goes, each day. How are you going to go out? Each day. Don't think about tomorrow. Think about today. Today. Seek ye today. Ask for food today. And he goes, you handle today. Your tips for today. Not your tips for 6 years. Couldn't handle it. But I know if I work Sundays, I can make some money, right? Each day. And here's Joshua would have done it. If anybody would have wanted to quit, it would have been Moses and Joshua. 40 years, you bunch of crybabies. And what does he tell them? Did we already read that?
No.
Verse 14. Tim, would you read 14 and 15?
Well, 24:14.
Yeah.
Now therefore you revere ye Yahweh, and serve him in sincerity and in truth, and put away the Elohims which your fathers served beyond the river and in Egypt, and serve ye Yahweh. But if it be a vexation in your eyes to serve Yahweh, choose ye for yourselves today whom ye will serve, whether the Elohims which your fathers served that were beyond the river, or the Elohims of the Amorites in whose land ye are dwelling. But I and my house will serve Yahweh.
This is a Joshua generation. Get rid of your gods. In your house, in my house, and in your house, there's gods coming in every single day. They're in and they're out. And you got to clean it. It's just like a house. There's always going to be bugs. There's going to be dust. You got to get rid of it. And you call it out once a week. Rebuke it. You pray for your kids. You pray for the people in your life. You go on walks. How you doing? I try to do it with my son. It made him really nervous. Says, what areas do you need help in your life? What should we be praying for? He's like, I'm not telling you. I'm learning how to be a father, but I want to help him. Yeah. I want to help him. And in this case, they could have possibly looked at it. Here comes Joshua again. Never has any good news. Here he is again, 109 years old, and he said, we got gods. You, Joshua. It's all about dividing the family. It's all about calling people out. Here you are. Do you think there are people there saying that? Absolutely. Absolutely there were. And what would happen is the people, the other people who were, and they look there, and they look, and they go, I'm either a coward, or I'm a warrior, or a hero. Dude just called me out. Am I a coward? And what we're going to see right here at the end of Yehoshua is men stood up, and they called it out. People stood up. Verse 19, they go, no, we're for Yahweh. We're for Yahweh. And you and Josh, they're going to say, we want Yahweh. We want Yahweh. And Isaiah wants you to read verse 19.
Okay. Then said Joshua unto the people, ye cannot serve Yahweh, for holy God is he, and a just God is he.
Is that how the people felt? No, they said, we have Yahweh. And Joshua says, no, you don't have Yahweh. What are you talking about? I have Yahweh. Are you calling me not a Christian? And he called them out again. He goes, you cannot serve Yahweh. Do you think that hurt their feelings? Is this how you have family reunions? Get everybody together for Thanksgiving? Oh my goodness. We're never going to have Christmas together again, ever. But he called them out. He said, you can't. And he says, Yahweh is a holy Elohim. He is a jealous Elohim. He doesn't share. Like a husband and a wife. Does your dad share your wife with another man? No. Another man would take a bullet. Right? And Yahweh goes, I am a jealous Elohim. And what do these people do? There was a calling out. There would have been people in the crowd going, there goes that Joshua again. Separating families. There goes that Joshua again. He's always bad news, negative, Nancy or whatever is coming out. But then there were people in the crowd that go, I'm either a coward or I'll be a hero. And what did they say? Verse 21, they got called out. They made a choice. What did they say in verse 21? Isaiah.
But the people said to Joshua, nay, but Yahweh will we serve.
And the Joshua generations, there were times, it was not 100% votes. Here in the United States, we don't win 100%. But the Joshua generation, even when Joshua started this 40 years earlier, they said, Joshua, we're for you, and if anybody goes against you, we'll put them to death. You know what that did? Probably the 40% of the people went. But I guarantee you the Democrats that lived back then, they were going to test it. They were going to test it, and they're going to test it again. They're going to say, covet not thy neighbor's goods. Why does he have to have them? Love your neighbor as yourself, covet not thy neighbor's goods. Man, it makes it so easy. But then he goes, you can't do it. And then verse 23, he reproves them again. And what was the last page of Yahushua's life? Verse 23, now therefore put ye away the gods of the stranger that are in the midst, and incline your hearts to Yahweh, Elohim of Israel. All of us have gods in our life. Elohims. What's your sufficiency? What is your source of happiness? What makes you feel good? All of us have it. And when Joshua said, get rid of it, everyone, when we even talk about these things, all of us know what we got to deal with. Here's my weakness. And what did they do? They got rid of them. And so what happened is the other people, they got called out for a time period. Now, we turn to the book of Judges. What's the story of the book of Judges? Slavery. And when the Israelites are in slavery, do you know how bad it was? How would you like your daughter and your sons being raped, murdered, stolen? They just raped your daughter again. We're not talking. These are the. How would that feel? What's going on? Here's Gideon hiding in a threshing floor because how he was being treated. The book of Judges, you'll see, here's Judges. It's got Joshua. It's the finalization of Joshua's in chapter 2. Then we go here. It's Othniel in chapter 3. Othniel, what is he going to do? He has to raise up. It says, thus did the sons of Israel the thing that was wicked in the sight of Yahweh. And we go, how did Israel get wicked again? The question is, Aaron, how did you get wicked again? Aaron! Don't look at them, look at you, Aaron. Well, I thought I made it. No, each day, each year, how you doing? So here it went, and so then here's Othniel had to deliver the Mesopotamians, Ehud, the Moabites. Then you go over here, here's the Philistines, the Canaanites, here's Sisera. Then you got the Philistines, and the Philistines just means immigrants. So it makes me think of our illegal immigrants. You ever heard of, what is it, MS-13, 16? That's the Philistines. They're Philistines. And so here this is, in and out of slavery, in and out of slavery, in and out of slavery. Whose fault is it? And we'll turn to Numbers chapter 33. What in the world's going on with the book of Judges? So, I've never lived under a Yehoshua, but I can imagine when he did with the sleep, people would be like, finally! Whew, that dude had a scepter of iron, man! Maybe we'll get along a little bit more. You know what would happen after Joshua? Oh yeah, it was a lot easier. Big family reunions. Everybody's really getting along. Now we're really getting along. And more compromises, and more compromises, and more compromises. But the story of the book of Judges is, if you want to know what's happening with Judges, put a footnote on your Bible. Numbers chapter 33, verse 52 and 55. So it's not extra credit if we memorize Scripture. It's not extra credit if we listen and read the Word each day. It's a requirement. Every single day. And here is verse 51 of chapter 33. Yahweh tells Moses, and here's Moses, speak ye unto the sons of Israel. Mom, would you read that for me?
We didn't get the verse.
51.
Speak unto the sons of Israel, and thou shalt say unto them, when ye do pass over the Jordan into the land of Canaan, then shall ye dispossess all the inhabitants of the land from before you, and shall destroy all their figured stones, all their molten images. Also shall ye destroy, and all their high places shall ye lay waste. So shall ye possess the land and settle down therein, for unto you have I given the land to possess
And
it.
he comes in and goes, okay, there's going to be, you get rid of all of them. There's no compromise. Get rid of them. You're going to go, now in our lives, Yahweh says, get rid of them. Who are the people in your life that are holding you back? Who are the people that are breaking the 10 Commandments or they're making you compromise things? We look at it, and right here, the reason why judges, they're in and out of slavery is because they did not get rid of those people. Now, we read the book of Judges and we go, okay, so these people died. Here's Gideon, right? And Yahweh says, you're from dust you were, back to dust, and then they're dead, right? But did you ever think about the Joshua generation reading the book of Judges and finding out what happened to their grandkids because of them? That was me. I'm the one. They're going to go, I'm the one that didn't get rid of the playboys. Or I'm the one that let my son have playboys in my house. And they're going to get to read what happened to their grandkids. That's the hope. With our life, your sin is never just one person. It affects everybody, just like Achan. But they're going to get to read what happened in the book of Judges. They're going to go, man, that was me. And they're going to go, oh, golly. And Yahweh preserved these things for you and I to say, take this life serious. Your life here on this earth, it's a vapor. But every act of obedience, I will reward you bigger and better you can ever imagine. He looks at husbands and wives. He goes, you know what? You won't even be married in paradise, but your relationship will be better than any part of your relationship down here. You can look at each other and go, we're really going to get along. Christ comes back, you and I, man, we're going to be like this, right? And he promises these things. So even I'm not married, so my life's got hardly any compromises. But you can look at that with a marriage relationship. My hope is not this relationship. My hope is a relationship you and I are going to have when Christ comes back. And if somebody's weaker than me, just don't take it personal. What did you do? What did you do? I got a spouse, or I got a relationship, or I got a roommate, or I have a kid. Thankfully, my son's not in rebellion yet. But I just do what I do. And I'm focusing on the relationship I'm going to have with him when Christ comes back. Would be the idea. But now, so we look at, just say, now we look at the idols in our life, what things we refuse to give up. And the thing is, we look at Judges and go, what are you going to be reading about your grandkids and your great-grandkids? And what are your great-grandkids going to be reading about you? They're going to say, Nana, you're the reason I was in slavery for 20 years? Are you serious? Man, because you wouldn't get rid of a playboy or something like that? They're going to go, man, golly, that's why I was in slavery. Now we turn to, I guess we won't go to, verse 55. What does Yahweh tell them? Get rid of these people, and then he warns them. Here, Elijah, would you read verse 55?
Yeah. But if you do not dispossess the inhabitants of the land from before you, then shall it be that they whom ye have remaining of them will become pricks in your eyes and thorns in your sides, and will harass you in concerning the land wherein ye are settling down.
And it shall be that as, I'll let you read the rest, 56 too.
And it shall be that as I thought to do unto them, I will do unto you.
What do you think Gideon, let's just imagine Gideon it started off fantastic, right? The end wavers a little bit with the ephod, but how do you think Gideon would have felt when somebody found the book of the law? And he's kind of like a king. He said, I won't be a king, but his name's the son of Abimelech, my father the king. Right? He has people reading the books of him, and somebody starts reading Numbers, and then they read that, and he went, what? You mean the reason why we had the problem with the Midianites was because my dad and my grandfather, they didn't get rid of these people? Oh, man. It's the same thing. Now we look at a neat thing would be I look at Donald Trump. Why would you not want Donald Trump's life? You know what he's doing is right. Christians know what he's doing is right, and they know he represents them, but they're going to keep their mouth shut because they don't want the Philistines and the Amalekites to harass them. And what could we say? Coward, hero. What are you going to do? And then we got to say, as for me and my house, we'll serve Yahweh. So we start rising up and saying, if you don't like Donald Trump, then you don't like me. Because he represents me. And we start calling things out. And there could be people that are bluffing. They say, I will never do this or I'll never do that. And you're going to go, then you're out. And maybe when you say they're out is what they're waiting for to actually repent. There's a lot of times that these are the big, actually that was Gideon's father, wasn't it? What did Gideon have to do? Golly, that was an act of war. He almost died. Now they're going to kill his son. Finally, Gideon's father speaks up, and man, what a revolution. And all of us get that choice. A great analogy as I'll wrap up here would be slavery, captivity. The United States, 1860s, was forced to go to a civil war. And a man rose up. And we all know who he is. His name is Abraham Lincoln. And he didn't waver. And if we could have lived back then, he would have been spit on. He would have been hated. Nobody liked him. I remember hearing a story that he kept one article in top of his stovetop hat, and he would read it because it was like the one positive article about him. And my father said something, I'm going to butcher this, and correct me, but he says, before you go to battle, make sure what you stand on is firm. And then don't give an inch. And what did he do? Love thy neighbor as thyself. You can't have slavery. What would have happened if he would have compromised? How many Republicans and Christians were probably caving on him going, dude, we just want peace. Yeah. We just want peace, Abe. Come on. Let them succeed. Let them have slavery. We stay up here. We just want peace, Abe. Do you think he was tempted for that? Yeah. Absolutely. What would have happened to the United States, though? What would have happened to us? Now, as my father brought up a good thing, was we were discussing that. Because that was the 1860s, right? 80 years later, what happens? A World War II breaks out. And the United States, because they had cold itself of its wickedness, half the United States was wicked. We went to a civil war, 620,000 people died, and then the wicked ones were forced to shut up and to obey the Levitical law. You can't enslave somebody. Why are we going to war over this? But what if Abraham would have caved? The United States wouldn't have been there for World War II. We had so much sin, there's no way we would have been there. Where would Germany and Japan been if the United States did not have an Abraham Lincoln to get rid of that sin? Because Achan says, what happened with Achan? You cannot stand before your enemies. Get rid of the idle thing. And so all of us can look at that and go, golly, thank you, Abraham Lincoln, for not giving in. And all of us, his generations, our kids, going, look at this nation we live in. It's not perfect. But we got rid of slavery, right? And so I got my new shirts today. So I saw a guy in the gym, and he had a Donald Trump shirt, and I was working out, and here I am, and I'm talking about cowards, right? I looked at him and went, wow, that's kind of brash, you know, like, look at him. I felt the same way. But I wasn't going to wear a Trump shirt into the gym, because I was thinking also, but I wasn't thinking that way. But then I looked at him, and finally I walked over and asked if he wanted a spot. He's lifting heavy weights. Yeah, I'll take a spot. And then we'll start talking, and he's like, so love your shirt. He goes, thanks. My girlfriend bought it for me. He didn't even buy it for himself. You know, my girlfriend bought it for me. I love Donald Trump. Then he looks around at all these people in the gym. And you know, if you just do the math, 7 out of every 10 is just like us. So why are we afraid of the 3? It's because they've trained us. And it's cowardly, yeah. And so after I saw that, Yahweh dealt with me. He goes, Aaron, does that dude know any of the word like you? No, he's living with his girlfriend. He's a fornicator. Why won't you wear a Trump shirt? So I did buy a Trump shirt, but then I got a Trump shirt. When I went into the gym, one of my good friends at the Genesis Health Club, he saw a Trump shirt, and he did this. And now every time I see him, guess what he does? He grimaces. I'm his enemy. My first feeling, you know what it was? I shouldn't have worn a Trump shirt. I had so many friends before I wore it. That was my flesh. And then I went, what? That guy's my enemy. He's a cockroach. He would take all my stuff and kill me. And so then I had to up it up. So it wanted up. So here's boy. Arnold Schwarzenegger does not like his face being replaced by Donald Trump. But that's him. That's taking the offense. And the same company will make one with Abraham Lincoln. It's got Abraham Lincoln flexing his biceps. It says abolish slavery, not slavery. But here, they're taking the offense. And instead of looking at Joshua's and Gideon's going, look at these guys, they're such jerks. They're always correcting everybody. They're always causing confusion. Then we should say, you know what? You're right. he shouldn't be up there alone. I'm with him. And then that's what would have happened with Yehoshua. As for me and my house, and the people would have rose up, and then the other ones, and then the kids could have saw their parents going, I got to witness my parents do what Gideon did. Father, we thank you for these words. We thank you for our lives. We thank you that all of us are a work in progress. All of us have Philistines and weaknesses and idols. That none of us are complete. Moses, at the end of his life, had a test. So will we at the end of our life, and you give us an option to say, how do you want the last chapter of your life to end? And that last chapter of our life could be at any moment, because we don't know when your son's coming back. So that's great. We should be living each day to glorify you, to say, what will our grandchildren live to read about what we did? What will our great-grandchildren be sold into slavery? Because the United States did not start off with slavery. It started off with Puritans, Christians, trying to start off and purify themselves from the lust of the world. The Philistines and the Amalekites of Europe. But the Philistines and Amalekites followed them. And what they had is eventually they had a problem again. But I'm thankful, Father, that you will help us to call ourselves out each day. And you tell us just each day. Each day. Clean yourself up each day. Don't think about tomorrow, the next day. Don't think about Thanksgiving. Don't think about Christmases. Don't think about those things. Just each day. Do you love me? Will you be a coward, or will you be a hero this day? And I will reward you so much. I will reward you so much. I will reward you. Each day you choose the world and your flesh, you can choose me. Choose me. Make it that simple. Make it that simple to go, will you stand up for me? It's about me. And I give you these choices to say, would you stick up for me? Because when I was being crucified, when I was being spat on, naked on the cross, being humiliated, I despised the shame, and it's written in Hebrews, despising the shame. Sometimes I'm asking you to do things that you're going to look shameful. But if one person stood up for me and says, we love you, remember me in the resurrection, how much would that have blessed me? Now I ask you to do the same thing each day, like that guy on the cross. Stick up for me. And if you stick up for me each day, I will branch out to help your loved ones. I know the loved ones you have in your life. I know how your heart yearns for them. And I know what you need. But it's your old man inside of you that has got you a slave telling you that you can't do what's right because you will lose him. That's what Adam had with his wife. And the sin never stopped coming back to this very day. Let me deal with them. Let me heal your family. Let me be the one to deliver them. And I will reward you, and I can restore you. And remember, nothing can be taken. Nothing can be lost that I can't restore. Moses lost Egypt, but he gained the Holy of Holies.